Hello and welcome to the training video, Building Video Walls. In this training video, we're going to be looking at how to build different size video walls. So what is a video wall? A video wall is typically a large display made up of multiple different screens. A video wall can come in different shapes and sizes. They do not always have to be a regular shape. We create video walls by connecting multiple displays together. This can be done in a couple of different ways. We can either use what we call the daisy chain method, which is where we'll plug a cable from display 1 into display 2, from display 2 into display 3, from display 3 into display 4, and so on. Alternatively, we may use a video matrix, which will map out the video wall for us. A key principle to understand is that a video wall does not increase the resolution of the content. In fact, it often does the opposite. To explain this, if we use a 2x2 video wall as an example, when I refer to a 2x2, I mean 2 screens across by 2 screens down. If I were to publish a single 4K video to the video wall, each display would only receive 1920 by 1080. To see that clearly, if we actually add up 1920 from the first screen and 1920 from the second screen, that would give us 3840. If we then add up the 1080 from the first screen and 1080 from the display 3, that would give us 2160, which is the resolution of a 4K video. Here you can see the calculation nice and clearly. Sometimes we could end up with an irregular video wall. For example, if we had 2 screens side by side, this would be classed as an irregular video wall. The dimensions for this one would be 3840 by 1080, because again, if we add the 1920 of the first display and then 1920 of the second display, that would give us 380 by 40. The height still stays at 1080. We would treat an irregular video wall exactly the same as the other video walls. Next, we're going to look at how we can create our layout to mirror a regular video wall and an irregular video wall. To start with, we're going to make a presentation for a regular shape video wall. So we're going to use the example of a 2x2. So the first thing we need to do is set up the canvas to be the right size. To do this, once you're inside your creative, if we come over to the right hand side, make sure you're under the canvas section, and if we come down we can see the name. So I'm going to change the name of my presentation and I'm going to just call it 2x2 presentation. And then if I carry on down, we can see the canvas size. So at the moment we can see it's 1920 by 1080. I want to make sure it stays under pixels, and I'm going to click on 1920 by 1080. And then under the drop down menu, I can now change it. So because it's going to be 2x2, I'm going to change my resolution to 4K. And I can then click confirm. So the canvas is now bigger than the area I'm working in. So if I come down to the bottom, I can simply reduce the size of my zoom so I can now see the whole of my canvas. So I can now see my canvas that will cover the entirety of my video wall. However, I'm going to want to have certain content playing on each of my 4 screens. So the way we can do this is if we want to have a video, for example, on one screen, something else on another screen, something on the third, something on the fourth, then what we can do is divide the screen up to make it so we can see clearly where the divide would be. And an easy way to do that would be to click and grab a text box from the left hand side where our widgets are, And if I just drop that onto my canvas, so it's gone just onto the side there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is if I go to the size and positioning, and I'm going to click 0 for the left, 0 for the top, and then where it says width, I'm just going to type in 1920. And for the height, I'm going to tell it to be 1080. When I click side, it's now given me the size of one of the screens. And I'm just going to grab another box, so it brought 2 over. For my second box, I'm going to again position it, and I'm going to go to the left, and this time I'm going to put it at 1920. I'm going to put the top at 0 again. My width is still going to be 1920 because that's the size of my box. And then I'm going to put my height at 1080. So what it's given me now is 2 areas that I can clearly see the definition between the 2 different screens. I'm going to click on a third one, and I'm going to do the same again. On the left hand, I'm going to say 0. This time on the top, I'm going to put 1080. My width, again, will be 1920. And my height will be 1080. So I've now got my third box, and if I wanted to, I could create one more for the fourth screen. So my left would be 1920. My top would be 1080. My width would be 1920. And my height would be 1080. So I've made these 4 boxes to make your life a little bit easier. You could, if you wanted to, just change the background color within each of these. So if I just change maybe to a green to this one, and then come into this zone here, and I'm going to make that a yellow. Click OK. That one a green. There we go. Click OK. That one, I'm going to choose background color. Let's go for a red. Click OK. And then last one, we're going to bring in a bit of a blue. There we go. So I can clearly now see the 4 different areas that my screens would have. And what we need to do is be very careful when we add content on here, because the last thing we want to do is add an image right in the middle here with someone's face, because we're going to see the bezel where the screens meet together. So now, because I can see the 4 different screens, it gives me the opportunity to be able to lay it out exactly how I want it to be. So if I wanted to have an image in this top one, I can easily see what it would look like. I can manually drag it into position. And again, we can adjust it if we needed to by clicking on the size. So again, remember, it's always going to be left and top at 0. Width will be 1920, and your height will be 1080. So now that I've got that as an image, what I can do is choose what image I would like to be. So I'm going to add that image in there. It may be that I would like to have a video in the one next to it. So again, I could do exactly the same if I wanted to. I can click on the video, click on size and positioning, and again, my left would be 1920, my top would be 0, my width would be 1920, and my height would be 1080. Okay, 1920, there we go. And it will fill in there nicely, and I can now add my video in there. But what about if I wanted to have a video or an image go across both zones? So in that case, what we would do is simply choose what we want to have in there. So in this case, I want it to be an image. So I can, again, click on the size and positioning if I wanted to. So I'm going to have left as 0. We're going to start at 1080. And this time I'm going to have my width to be 3,840 and my height will be 1080. So now when I drop an image in there, it will go across 2 screens completely. So if I drop one of these images in there, as you can see, it will go across both screens. So when we publish it, it would go across 2 screens, but we would see the bezel ever so slightly across the two. So it's up to you whether you want to break a video wall down into its individual screens or whether you wanted content to cover all of it. So if I save that presentation, there we go. And then what I'm going to do is make another brand new one. And if you wanted something to cover the whole of your video wall, you'd set your canvas to the right size. And then all we'd need to do is drop our video in to cover the whole of the screen. There we go. And I'm just going to click on size and positioning. I need to unlock it. So make sure that is at 0. That is 0. And then it will be okay. So it's saying the percentages. So I just need to go back and put it to pixels. There we go. And then I can make it 3,840. There we go. So it's going to cover all of the videos. So if I now choose my content, and if I publish this video to my video wall, it would cover all 4 screens. And don't forget, you all just have the little tiny bezels in the middle. So that is how we would cover all 4 screens. So again, I'm just going to make sure I label that 4x4 single. Okay, so I've got 3 different presentations for my video wall. But it may be that you've got an irregular video wall. So what do we do if we've got an irregular video wall? So to do that, what we will need to do is set the canvas up slightly differently. So I'm going to click on Create, and I'm going to add a blank page. So it may be that we are going to be using the 2x1 scenario on an Android player. So what we will need to do is set our canvas to the right size. So again, under canvas, I'm going to go to canvas. I'm going to set it to 3,840 and click confirm. So I've got the right canvas size. I'm going to make sure it's on pixels. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my text as an example again. So I'm going to click on my text box and I'm going to put the left at 0. I'm going to have the top at 0. My width will be 3,840 and my height would be 10,080. So what we would then do, and I'm just going to change my background color so you can see it clearly. There we go. So what we would only be able to do is put content that is in this red section. If we put anything that came down into the white, we just would not see it. Okay, so a Android player will only see this section here. So that is why we would actually drum it out according to the size. If your video wall maybe didn't go all the way across, it was an obscure sign, you would do it exactly the same. So it may be it's a little bit shorter. Maybe your video wall only goes to 3,120 and it may have a funny height. You would just simply type it in and then you will just only be able to use this area here. All of this white area you wouldn't be able to use and we can just ignore it. So what I would do now is I would just add my content on top of this red area. There we go. And I can then just line everything up so it would appear on my video wall. And again, you can make it exact by simply adding the different measurements in if you wanted to. So as you can see very easily, I've just chosen 3 different areas and I've just dropped my content in. So now all I would need to do is click save and I would then publish it to my video wall and then the Android player would just ignore this white section. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video on video walls. Thank you.